What's going on YouTube? This is Jim Ifanis, aka vypermajik, and today I want to bring you some Counterspy gameplay. I'll be playing on the PlayStation 4 and recording everything with Share Factory, and all my audio is being recorded with this super snazzy Blue Yeti microphone. So Counterspy, it is a really cool game. I got it for free this month as part of being a member of the PlayStation Plus. I believe this is on Steam, maybe? I don't know. I don't think it's a PlayStation exclusive, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere if you look hard enough. This game is really a lot of fun, and it basically pokes fun of the Cold War. You play as this neutral organization called Counter. How clever is that? And you take turns going between the USSR, which in this game they call the Soviets. No, I'm sorry, the Socialists. Not Soviets, that would make sense. The Socialists versus the United States, which they call the Imperialists. And what you do is you take turns going between both of these countries, and you go through these procedurally generated maps, and you have to steal intel. In order to beat the game, you have to have enough intel from either country. It doesn't matter. It's just a total count, which unlocks the final mission, and then you go off and beat the game. Obviously, there's a lot of themes in here based on the whole Cold War thing. You'll see a lot of little banners and posters in the background that kind of poke fun of both countries and some of their thought processes during the war. But playing as a neutral party in this kind of almost parody state, it really alleviates a lot of what the real tension was about, and it does make it its own fun game without getting overly philosophical or anything like that. So the gameplay is actually pretty simple. As you can see here, it's a side-scrolling game with like kind of these 3D, three-quarter view shooting elements. And the objective is to get through every mission by getting to the end of this master computer and like deprogramming it. And along the way, stealing intel, which is not only in the forms of actual like documents, like pictures of rockets and that sort of thing, but like you just saw there, like little treasures and collectibles that give you money. I'll explain what money's for in a minute. And also going through and collecting weapon prints. So right now, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, I'm using a silenced pistol. That's why when I shoot this camera right now, there's no alarm from the guard because he didn't hear it. It's silenced. That's my primary weapon because I try to play as stealthy as possible. Everything has to do with getting points. You see my point meter in the upper right-hand corner. And the more stealthy you are, the more points you get. A kill is worth so many. A headshot's worth a little bit more. A stealth takedown is worth even more. And what you're trying to do is, get the highest score you can while completing all these objectives along the way. Now, being that the maps are procedurally generated, it's actually a lot of fun because you're never going to see the same thing twice. I mean, you will start to see similar themes and assets being reused a lot, like what you would see on, say, Diablo 3 or Spelunky. But the overall map is usually pretty different, and it's pretty gorgeous to look at. It really does give you a sense of this kind of really big warehouse, especially, or these big, secret bases rather, especially when you rotate out to that other view when you're actually shooting people. So it's actually really, really cool gameplay, and the gameplay is pretty tight. The mechanics, the jumping, the shooting, it all works okay. Shooting obviously is the weak point of this game. You see a lot of shots that I miss or I can't make solely because the analog stick isn't as smooth as I had hoped. Obviously a lot better shot. If you've seen some of my Destiny videos or Far Cry videos, you know I can handle myself in a shooter, but this game doesn't really live up to par. But that's okay. That's kind of like a last resort. And if you're playing stealthy and you're taking your time, you can alleviate most of that. So how the money system works, you saw at the beginning of the level. Everything you do gives you points. Points are turned into money. All the weapon cabinets you see me going through and all the little secret areas that I'm finding, they too give you points or money. And at the end of each level, that's all tallied in and it goes in your bank account. Now, if you've been diligent in exploring each of the maps, you'll start to get weapon blueprints. You'll see I actually get a few of them through this gameplay. And they're hidden in these weapon lockers. And once you get enough blueprints, you can unlock the ability to buy that gun. Now, again, I like to use the silenced pistol. I buy the other ones just solely as a completionist. But they have shotguns, they have automatic machine guns, dart guns. They have a bunch of different weapons. So gameplay, at least in the shooting element, is a little bit different. It is kind of fun to just go like Rambo and just run through the level, just pumping everyone full of lead with your shotgun. But again, if you want to be stealthy, you know, you probably end up using the silencer like me and just kind of taking your time. In addition, you'll see that I will collect like these vials, which eventually are transformed into these potions, which you can take before each level. They're one-time use, so that level only, but you can use them again. You just have to pay for them every time you want to use them. And they're basically aids if you're having a little difficulty with the level. The one that I was using was you take less damage during gunfights. You take like 40% reduced damage, which you know, you don't have to use them. Again, I preferred to save my money for the weapons, like that perforator rifle I just unlocked. But if you really were getting stumped on a level, you could use your money. You could also use your money to buy more ammunition, although ammunition is found in every map. So if you're, again, just looking for ways to spend it, you can. It's not an overly deep system in terms of like gun upgrades and everything. It's just whether you have the weapon or not. But it just adds a little sense of you know, completion. You want to go through and see what all the different weapons do. In addition, each level you will face off against a rival, which is just another PlayStation user. It doesn't even necessarily have to be your friend. Just somebody else who's gone through the level recently. So you have a score to beat, kind of a goal. I don't know how that matchmaking system works, and I'm not like perfect at this game as you're watching my gameplay. But every time I had a rival, I smoked them by a couple thousand points. So maybe they just did it to make you feel better, or everyone I was playing with wasn't playing as meticulously as I'm not really entirely sure. But I always wanted to explore and find everything. And here you see me going through all the different cabinets and collecting all the things, which ultimately turn into money. One of the things I wanted to mention, which makes this game kind of interesting, is there is a fail condition. You see in the top center the number 3, and you saw earlier when I was getting in a firefight with the guards, that number is actually going down. So that's your DEFCON level. Each level has one. If a guard with a radio spots you, he can call for reinforcements, and that lowers faster. If you get caught, that number lowers faster. And what happens is once that reaches DEFCON 1, an alarm goes off, and you have only a set amount of time to beat the level before you lose and have to restart. So, and you see in the upper right, next to my score, you see the highlighted boxes. That tells you the progress that I'm making on that level. So if I wanted to go Rambo on the first part of the level, I could. However, I may not be fast enough, and my timer may run out before I get to the end. So it does force you to play stealthy, at least in some elements, although later on, if you want to go, like I said, Rambo style, you can do that too. Each country has a DEFCON level, as I mentioned earlier, so if you're doing a lot of missions against the Imperialists, the missions get harder. The rewards don't necessarily get better. They're just much more challenging, a lot more dense guards, a lot more security cameras, that sort of thing. And the security guards actually get better weapons too. Like early on they're using pistols, later on they upgrade to rockets and grenades and that sort of thing. I think someone actually throws a grenade at me here in a minute, so you can just see what that looks like. But it pays to go between each level, you know, each side. And the style is very different. Obviously this is like the Soviet level, but the Imperialist level is a lot different, a lot more like red, white, and blue, and a lot more propaganda related to the United States. So neat level design, and again, being procedurally generated, you never really get bored of a level because you've never seen it before. Most levels end in these kind of giant gunfights where there's this giant area, and you look for these explosive barrels like I'm going to do here, and you know, blow it up and kill a couple guards and get a kill streak. The AI is a little wonky, though, I have to admit. I mean, you saw that guard turn and shoot at me. If I had a silencer on, how would he know I was there? Again, the shooting mechanics aren't perfect, but it doesn't break the game. It's just something to be aware of. Pretty gorgeous game, though. The graphics, you probably can't tell by the soundtrack, me rambling all over it, but it's got a pretty clever little soundtrack, and the little commentary that happens in between the game is actually a lot of fun. And the magazines and propaganda you pick up do tell kind of a funny story in between. Now you can see there I died, so my DEFCON level decreases. Again, if it decreases to 0, you have to run through the level and hit that panel. But I'm almost at the end. I just have one more guy between me and the end, so I'm not worried at this point that I won't successfully complete the mission, but there's no real penalty for failing. Just do it again. I mean, it's not like you have lives or anything like that. Most of the levels being bite-sized, you can finish each level 10 to 15 minutes. Took me about 4 hours to complete the entire game, but not as a completionist, just a complete run-through once to say that I did it. But yeah, wanted to show off some of the gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Counterspy for the PlayStation 4. And I'm going to hack this computer, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. So please do me a favor, comment, rate, subscribe. I'm still in the process of building up my channel. Expect more great content from me. Thanks for watching, and until then, I will see you guys on the other side.